Welcome to a new reading vlog. So this reading vlog is a follow-on to a reading vlog that I made a few months ago where I read books that I received through the Fairyloot Romantasy subscription. This is going to be the decider because if you watched that last vlog, if you didn't, I'll leave it linked in the description, but if you watched that last vlog, then you'll know that things did not go well. So I've made the decision that if I don't give the books in this vlog 4 stars or above, then I'm going to cancel my subscription because there's no point in receiving these books if I'm not actually enjoying them, as beautiful as they are. That is the plan for this reading vlog, is to make a decision on whether I'm going to keep this subscription or not. I have already started the first book for this vlog, and that was the July choice, which was The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Linde. So this is marketed as a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I'm not seeing that so far. I'm 60 pages in, and so far I would describe this as an urban fantasy. It's set in New York City. It's like an alternative history though, because essentially over a decade ago monsters revealed themselves. So it reminds me a little bit of the start of True Blood or the Sookie Stackhouse series, where vampires came out of the coffin. Something similar happened in this world. Monsters is kind of a broad term to mean any supernatural or paranormal creature, so it includes vampires, werewolves, nymphs, wraiths, and what else has been mentioned? Shapeshifters? Creatures like that essentially reveal themselves to exist. And this caused a war that lasted for quite a while and a lot of people died. However, it ended with this peace treaty. The book opens with our main character, who I think her name is pronounced Kius. It says in the book that it's pronounced like Pierce but with a K. She's this street thief, and at the start of the book she's on this assignment where she's breaking into this house to steal something. It soon turns out that this house that she's broken into belongs to a monster, and instead of killing her, which is within his right to do because she's broken this peace treaty, instead of killing her, he offers her a job because he needs help with stealing something from this group of monsters, and the story kind of goes from there. But so far I'm enjoying this, kind of. I think the world is interesting, even though it's set in our world. I do tend to like books that are set in New York. Don't know if I like the main character that much. The thing is that this, I think, is marketed as adult. However, the main character to me does not feel 25. She feels much younger. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's the way that her thoughts are thinking. That didn't make any sense. I don't know whether it's the way that she's reacting to certain things or the writing, and how sometimes it feels a little bit jarring. Stuff will happen out of nowhere and it feels very fast-paced, more fast-paced than I think a lot of adult fantasy feels. It could just be that because this is an urban fantasy and a lot of the urban fantasy that I've read has been YA, then maybe I'm projecting, but yeah. Don't know how I feel about the main character so far. Don't know how I feel about the love interest because we haven't really seen much of him, but I am intrigued by the plot. I do tend to like a heist plot, and the world seems interesting. So yeah, this is going okay so far. I am 60 pages in, so I'm at the end of part 1. It is reading quite quickly though, so I'm hoping to get through a lot of this weekend. We'll give you some more thoughts on this once I am a little bit further in, but as for the rest of today, I don't know what I want to do because this weekend is the only weekend in September where I don't have plans. So last weekend I was getting back from Croatia. Next weekend I'm going up to Liverpool to see a friend, and then the weekend after I'm going down to London with my mom. So I should have a more chilled weekend this weekend. I should film actually. There's a few videos that I want to film. I keep telling myself I don't have the time to film, but I do have the time to film. I'm just not making the time and prioritising filming. So I might do some filming today. Might also pop into town today, but we will see how I'm feeling. The weather today is miserable, so I have the overhead light on and I'm filming directly in front of the window, and hopefully this lighting looks okay. But to be honest, I am ready for summer to be over. I know that that is a terrible thing to say, but I am not really a summer kind of person. I prefer autumn and winter. So speaking of which, I do have a parcel that I wanted to open on camera because I ordered some bits and pieces from Sugar Hill, Brighton. I realised as I was going through my wardrobe recently that I need some more autumn and winter clothes. So I thought I would open this and remind myself, oops, that was my glasses. I thought I would open this on camera and remind myself what I actually ordered because I can't remember. So the first thing that I got was this jumper, which feels a lot thinner than I was expecting, but it's this really cute cat jumper. I'll see if I can hold it up closer so you can see, but it's this navy colour, and then we have this really cute cat design in the middle. In case you hadn't realised, I love cat printed clothes, or like any kind of cute animal on clothes. It makes me want to buy it. So that was the first thing that I ordered. And then I also got this dress, which I'm not sure if it's going to look right on me, but it's this really cute kind of forest print. Oh, you can't really see that. I've just realised this print kind of matches the book that I'm reading because it's got little robins on it. I don't know if you can see, and it's also got foxes, acorns, and I thought this print was just very autumnal. So I'm going to try this on in a bit, but hopefully it looks okay. It's got longer sleeves and I'm not sure how they're gonna look, but yeah, that was the second thing that I got, and that was everything. So moving on to some reading updates. I am now over halfway through the Wren in the Holly Library. I am on page 179, so yeah, pretty much exactly halfway through. How long is this book? It's 380 pages in total, so a little bit shorter than some of the fantasy romance that I've been reading recently, but so far I have been enjoying this. The pacing in particular is really fluid. There hasn't been any dull moments or slower moments where I've been able to feel bored, so at no point have I considered DNFing this, which did happen with a few of the other books that I read in the last vlog. This has been okay so far. It's just not really the kind of fantasy that I tend to reach for by myself. I think if I hadn't received this in a Fairyloot box, then I wouldn't have picked it up, because I just don't tend to reach for urban fantasy. I tend to prefer high fantasy worlds because I love fantasy that has a lot of world building, and I say this all the time with fantasy romance, but when I read fantasy romance, I want to feel like the author has put as much effort into developing the world and the plot as they have into the romance. And this so far, it has a good balance between plot and romance, but there isn't really that much world building. There has been some discussions around the impact that this monster war had on society and how it affected the rich and the poor, so that's been interesting, but that's a very, very small part of the book. The plot itself is intriguing. I am intrigued enough to carry on reading, but I think that once we get into this second half now, it's going to focus more on the romance, and I don't know whether I love the romance. I don't know whether I like the characters. I don't hate the characters, but they just feel very generic. There's nothing that's really standing out to me about the characters. Also, I wish I hadn't known that this was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I have seen how this was sort of inspired by Beauty and the Beast. Because I know that, I keep picturing the love interest as the Beast from the Disney movie, and he doesn't look anything like that. This is what he looks like. So my brain is just really struggling to cope with that. However, we have met the cat, as you can see on the end paper. We have now met the cat, but again, the cat has been a very small part of this book so far. There's just something about the writing that isn't quite working for me, and I think it's because I feel like I'm being told a lot of stuff but not really shown it. Certain things feel a little bit forced as well. It doesn't feel like things are unfolding naturally. It feels like sometimes something will happen out of nowhere. There won't be any build up, and it's okay. It just jars me every time it happens. Like I said, I don't really read a lot of urban fantasy, so I don't know what to compare this to other than Shadowhunters, which I think is also set in New York. I only ever read the first book in the Shadowhunters world, so this might be a terrible comparison, but I'm pretty sure Shadowhunters also has various magical creatures and it's set in this urban type setting. So that is the only series that this is reminding me of. It's feeling like maybe a 3 to a 4 stars at the moment. There's nothing about it that really stands out to me as being done particularly well. It doesn't feel unique. I feel like once I finish this, I'm never going to think about it again. And right now, unless it ends on some sort of cliffhanger or the second half gets really, really good, I can't see me feeling desperate to pick up the sequel. Don't know whether I'm going to be able to finish this tonight. I am going to do my best, and it is moving quite quickly, so there's potential for me to finish this this evening. I am also cooking dinner tonight, which I'm actually really excited about. We've ordered a box from Gusto, which for anyone who's not in the UK is very similar to HelloFresh, except I prefer the recipes with Gusto because the vegetarian options are just better in my opinion. So I think the recipe that I'm going to make tonight is garlic bread vegetarian hot dogs with truffle fries, and it looks really nice. So hopefully I don't mess it up. Hopefully it is delicious. I will try and at least film the finished product. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to film myself actually making it. Maybe I will. We'll see what I'm feeling later, but yeah. I'm gonna go and get stuck back into this, and I will come back to you with some updates, maybe once I've finished it actually, because I can't see me having anything else to say about this before I get to the end. I did not end up finishing the Wren in the Holly Library last night. I knew I was being a little bit ambitious, but I did read a good chunk of this, and I have some more thoughts that I wanted to try and talk about. I've been trying to work out what I want to say in this update, but essentially I am not enjoying the progression of the relationship in this, and it's really frustrating because I feel like I could be enjoying it. I feel like the smut in this, it happened too quickly and there was no build up, and this is an issue that I've noticed with quite a few romances recently, and why I haven't read that much romance this year. I think there are some romance books where you know from the outset that they're going to be spicy, just from the language that's being used and from the description and the way that they're marketed and from the front covers. You know that you're in for a spicy good time, and I enjoy those books sometimes if I'm in the right mood for them. However, I think there are some books like this where it's very clear that it's not just a romance. The fantasy elements, I would argue, up until a certain point are more prominent than the romance, and then the romance starts to be introduced and you can feel the tension building, but then the author goes and puts in a smut scene and it feels like it's happening too quickly and it takes away all of the tension. I think there are some series where you don't even need any smut in the first book. That's the whole point of having a series, is that you can develop the relationship over multiple books, and I feel like the sex scene in this came way too quickly and it didn't make sense. And I think as well that sometimes it feels like there's smut for the sake of smut. I don't think that that particular scene contributed anything to the relationship. It felt completely empty. There was no purpose to it. That's all I really wanted to say in this update, is that I'm still not really enjoying this. It's fine, it's fast paced and it's fun. There's just so many issues with it and it's frustrating because I feel like I could be really loving this if it were written in a certain way. It's not that there's loads of like grammatic errors or spelling mistakes, but I feel like this did need another round of editing so that it would flow a little smoother. Rant over. I will catch up with you next time once I have actually finished this. So I think today's recipe of choice is going to be creamy tomato gnocchi bake with chili tender stem broccoli. I was having a look at the salads and I'm not really feeling a salad tonight. I'm feeling something that's going to be a little more filling and more cozy. I'm going to double check with Sam when he gets home that he's okay with this, but yeah, I think we're going to go with this today. I come to you with reading updates because I have now finished The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Linde, and this was so disappointing. I did not like this. It seemed to get worse as the book went on, and there were certain passages that just made me cringe, and I hate saying it, but I think I'm going to give this 2 stars. That feels really harsh because this had potential. I liked the concept, I just didn't like the writing or the execution, so that was a pretty big problem. I don't even know where to start with my thoughts on this. Actually, I watched a video recently from Leonie at the Book Leo. I'll try and remember to leave it linked in the description if I remember, but I found that whole video really interesting because she summarised a lot of my thoughts towards the romantasy genre, specifically that I don't think that romantasy is anything particularly new. There's always existed fantasy books with romance. However, it feels like this term has been created by publishing in order to market books to a particular audience. Yet no one seems to be able to agree on what a romantasy book actually is. Like, what's the difference between romantasy and fantasy romance, or fantasy with romance? And this I would describe as an urban fantasy with paranormal elements and a romance. There's a couple of spicy scenes which I don't think were actually needed, or I think if they'd been done in a different way then it would have helped to build the tension between these characters, but I just didn't find it that believable. I didn't find these characters that interesting. I could see what the author was trying to do though, because both of these characters have traumatic backstories. Both characters are bisexual, by the way, which is something that I don't think I've mentioned yet, but I really appreciated that representation. The way that these characters were presented is that they've both been hurt in their pasts, and so they have these walls up and you're seeing them slowly bring down these walls for each other, but it all felt really, really rushed. I just didn't find them convincing as a couple. So much of this was told through the main character's internal monologue. It's also written in third-person POV, so I felt like this whole book was essentially the main character did this, the main character thought that. I felt like I was being spoon-fed everything instead of being trusted to see things for myself and to empathise with these characters. I wouldn't go out of my way to recommend this, as you have probably deduced. If you want something fun and fast-paced with a lot of action and you already have this book or you're able to borrow it from the library, then this could work for you, especially if you do like urban fantasy or you've enjoyed a lot of recent romantasy releases. I think this could be worth trying. It just really wasn't for me and I'm really disappointed. So yeah, that wraps up another Fairyloot Romantasy book. I am still going to read the September book. I skipped the August box. I don't think I've mentioned that yet in this video anyway, but I skipped the August box because I didn't like the look of the book. It didn't sound like something that I would enjoy. However, I am getting the September box, so once that arrives I will be reading that book and I will let you know my thoughts, but I am going to take a little break from this vlog until that book arrives, and then we will get back into it and I will make a decision on whether I'm going to cancel my subscription. To be honest, I feel like I've already made my mind up, but I'm going to read this one last book and then make a final decision. It has actually been over a week now since I last checked in with you for this vlog. However, I have now received my September Fairyloot, which is The Half King by Melissa Landers. I was going to do a separate unboxing video for this book. However, when I got home last night, I was exhausted, it was raining, and I looked like a drowned rat. So I didn't want to be on camera. I still filmed me unboxing this book, which you hopefully will have seen. But yeah, this week has just been really stressful. I was away at the weekend visiting my friend in the Wirral, which is around 3 hours from me depending on traffic, and the weekend was great. We had a great time up until I came to drive home on the Sunday morning and found that I had lost my car key, so that was a big stress. It turned out that I lost it while at the Jacqueline Wilson event on the Friday. I have now got my car back and I didn't have to pay £400 for a replacement key, which is what they quoted me. So yeah, it's not been the best best start to the week, but I have now got my September Fairyloot, so I am able to continue this vlog, and I would like to try and finish this within the next few days because I'm away again this weekend. I'm going down to London to see ABBA Voyager with my mum, so it would be good to finish this book before then because I don't really want to take this with me. I did start it last night and I am around 100 pages in, so it's reading quite quickly. It feels fast-paced, but also I'm really liking the world in this. I feel like this first section has really focused on world building. Some people might say that it's been info dumping, however I feel like those info dumps have been necessary to understand what's going on. So we're following this main character called Cerise. Basically within this world there are 4 different realms, and there are these curses that have been placed on the noble families that live within these realms. So these curses only affect the firstborn of each noble family. There's a different curse for each family, however the main character that we're following is actually the secondborn in her family, and the secondborns are sent to this religious organisation to become either priests or seers. When we meet our main character at the start of the book, she is training to become a seer, however her magical ability hasn't manifested yet, and she's reaching an age where if it doesn't manifest soon then it's likely that she doesn't have a magical ability. So the head seer, who I think is called the Reverend Mother or something like that, she has this vision that our main character is going to do something important, so she sends her to become the emissary. Is that the right word? She's sent to serve in the king's realm, and the king is also a firstborn, so he has his family's curse placed on him. I feel like I have done a terrible job of explaining the plot for this, but essentially I think we're following our main character as she is trying to break the curses that have been placed on these families by the goddess, and there seems to be a lot of commentary on religion, which I am appreciating. We haven't seen the main character interact that much with the love interest yet, who I believe is going to be the king. It feels fast-paced, but it doesn't feel rushed, which I am liking. So interested to see how this develops. I will say I do prefer the original cover for this. I like the purple, but I feel like this doesn't really fit the vibe so far. I do love the end papers. I think they are beautiful, and I do also like the naked hardback. So maybe I will keep this, but anyway, I'm rambling. I am gonna get back to work because I'm currently on my lunch break, and then I will read some more of this tonight, and I will hopefully check in with you tomorrow. Good morning, happy Friday. I am about to start work for the day, but I thought I would check in with you first because I have now made it to the halfway point in The Half King by Melissa Landers. I am on page 247, and this book is nearly 500 pages long. However, I will say the writing in this is massive, so even though it's nearly 500 pages long, it's not reading like a 500-page book. I am liking this so far. I think out of all of the books that I've read through this subscription, this has the most promise. I don't think it's going to get 5 stars, but I think because I approached this with very neutral expectations, it's exceeding my expectations. I think the world is really interesting, although it's not so much the world, it's more the politics and especially the curses that have been placed on these families. I think that whole aspect is really interesting. One of the main themes in this is religion, and specifically coming to terms with or realizing that what you've been told to believe your whole life might not actually be the truth, and I think that aspect is being handled quite well. There's actually an author's note in the beginning where the author talks about how she grew up and was raised in this very controlling religion and how that has leaked into the book, and I think that is really coming across. So yeah, I am liking this so far. The only thing I'm not that invested in is the romance, and I feel like a broken record at this point because I feel like I've been saying this about every romantasy that I've read recently, but this feels insta-lovey. It's like it's trying to be a slow burn, but the characters are admitting feelings when they have haven't really spent that much time together and it just annoys me. So I don't know whether I'm gonna love the romance in this, which is a problem considering this is a romantasy, but we'll see. Maybe it will grow on me. I do like the main character, and I also like the relationship that she has with her friend, whose name I can't remember, but he is a historian that helps her when she first arrives at the palace. And also there's the animal companion trope, which is a trope that I personally really love. There's a lot that I do like about this. I don't know what this is being marketed as. I think it's being marketed as new adult. The books in this subscription are meant to be adult. However, I feel like this reads more like upper YA. I don't know whether it's going to get spicy, but the characters are 19 and they feel like 19-year-olds, which isn't a bad thing. I just wanted to mention to help set expectations. So yeah, can I finish this tonight? It is a Friday night and I don't have plans, but I'm going out for breakfast tomorrow morning, so I don't want to be up too late. And then I'm going round to my mum's tomorrow evening before we go to London on Sunday. So we will see. I will attempt to finish this tonight, but if I don't finish it tonight, then hopefully tomorrow. It is time to wrap up my final thoughts on The Half King by Melissa Landers, because I did finish this last night and I ran it through Corpile, which for anyone who doesn't know is the rating system that I use, and it came out as a 3.5 stars, which feels fairly accurate. It's not quite a 4 stars, but 3 stars also feels too low. This is my favourite book that I've read through this subscription so far, which isn't really saying much considering this is the only book that I've given higher than 3 stars, but I would recommend this to certain people. I would recommend it more as a YA fantasy. It's technically new adult, but I would recommend it more for the fantasy elements rather than the romance, because the romance was the only thing that I didn't really love, and that is obviously a big problem considering this is being marketed as romantasy. I didn't think that the characters spent enough time together in the beginning for me to feel emotionally invested in them. There were a few intimate scenes which I wouldn't describe as spicy. They felt more romantic and it did feel like there was a purpose to them, which it didn't feel like smut for the sake of smut is what I'm trying to say. So that was positive. Some of the plot points I did see come in, however there was also some stuff that I didn't predict, which is good. I like it when there's a balance between things that I can predict and things that I don't see come in, because it keeps me on my toes. And if I find something 100% predictable, then obviously that's a little bit boring, but it's nice when an author can surprise me. So I did like the plot in this. I thought it was fun. Maybe fun is the wrong word, but it was fast paced and it was immersive and it was compelling. It was just the romance that I didn't really feel that emotionally invested in. I, having finished this book, have no idea why the main character liked the love interest. Like, he had the most bland and boring personality and we didn't really get to know him. There were some red flags, like he did some stuff which I would have been really annoyed at, and it was frustrating that the main character wasn't getting angrier at him. In fact, I think there was one point where she actually apologised to him and I was thinking, no, he is the one that's in the wrong here. I feel like I'm rambling now, but yeah, just to summarise my feelings, I think as an adult romantasy, which is what this subscription is meant to be, I feel like this missed the mark. However, as a YA/new adult fantasy, then I thought this was a good time. I have decided that I am going to be cancelling my subscription before the end of the year. I have a couple of skips left, so I'm going to make use of those and then I'm gonna cancel when I run out, which it is a shame because I thought I was gonna love this subscription. I like romance, I like fantasy, and I should like fantasy romance or romantasy, but yeah, the books in this subscription that have been chosen so far have just not been hitting for me, and even though I might end up liking future books, I don't think there's any point in getting special editions of them. I can just read them on my Kindle or borrow through my library. So yeah, I am going to be cancelling, which is a shame. However, I have signed up for the waitlist for the new epic fantasy box that's coming next year. I think I know what the first book is going to be, and it's by an author that I've read from before, so maybe I'll do another series next year. For now, I'm gonna wrap up this vlog. There will be one more video from me about the Fairyloot Romantasy subscription. I'm gonna film a sit-down video at some point just explaining my thoughts on the subscription and also Romantasy in general and why I think these particular books didn't work for me, but I am running out of space on my memory card, so I'm gonna stop rambling and say thanks for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books or if you have any thoughts and feelings on the Fairyloot Romantasy subscription. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye!